Hey guys, Dr. James right here. Today I want to talk about the three biggest clues your body is telling you that your joint pain is connected to your weight loss. Okay, so I am here in sunny, beautiful Costa Rica with my family. I'm very blessed to be here, but I wanted to shoot this video for you because as I was out surfing this morning, I was reflecting on my own health journey. And there are some things that really popped up for me. I realized that 10 years ago, I would not have been able to do what I was doing this morning out there surfing in larger waves, very physically demanding activity. I would not have been able to do this because of the inflammatory state that my body was in over a decade ago. And there were three things happening that I wish I would have known at the time. So my mission is to share this with my patients and with you guys, just to accelerate things for you so you can get rid of inflammation and do the things that you love to do without being held back from joint pain. The first biggest clue is that your body is stuck in this inflammatory loop. Most patients come to me and they say, Dr. Strat, I'm inflamed. And I'll say, how do you know this? They'll tell me that day in and day out, they feel inflammation from head to toe. They might feel it in multiple joints, hands, feet, hips, knees. Usually inflammation, when it's derived from your immune system and just head to toe inflammation, it takes place in more than one joint. So it's not just arthritis. If you feel it in your shoulders, you feel it in your knees, you feel it in your hips, you feel it in your hands are tight when you wake up. This is a sign that your body is inflamed. It's not just that you're getting older and you have osteoarthritis. You might have rheumatoid arthritis. That's what I had. That's what I was diagnosed with almost 10 years ago. The point is that when your body is stuck in an inflammatory loop, what it will do is that it actually promotes the production of cortisol in the body to try to solve this inflammatory problem. It's our own natural version of prednisone. If you go to the doctor and you're really inflamed and they give you prednisone, that's what your body produces. It's a stress hormone. So you try to protect you, to try to heal yourself. And as a response to this, it will drive insulin and blood sugar levels up over time. Now, this is how people gain weight. And if you're not addressing the root of the inflammation, then it's very difficult to lose weight or break through a weight loss plateau later on in life. So I want to share with you how to fix this today. Step number one was quite possibly the largest hack I ever figured out in my entire life when it comes to diet. Yes, we all know that we should cut inflammatory foods, that we should shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. We all know that we need to eat more of a whole foods based diet. But what I didn't realize is that the vegetables that I was consuming were literally destroying my joints and my digestive system. And I'm talking about the nightshade family right now. I talk about this a lot on my channel. Spicy peppers, hot sauce, tomato-based things like marinaras, eggplant. If you're a smoker, tobacco is a nightshade. So if you are struggling with chronic joint pain and you smoke, you got to cut that out because these things contain lectins. They get caught up in the joints and this promotes an inflammatory cascade that'll literally destroy your joints over time. To say that it took me 10 years to figure this out and I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, by cutting these out of my diet, one of the things that I did was remove nightshades. I would say that I reduced my pain by about 50% in the first month. And after the first year, near 90%. And today, over a decade later, I have zero joint pain whatsoever. I literally thought I was going to have to get a knee replacement. The backs of my elbows back here, if you look in my elbow right there, I had bursitis that popped out literally an inch off on both sides. It was bilateral. Literally, when I was in medical school, I would go up to my professors and I would ask them, hey, could you help me figure out what's going on here? I literally approached like 10 different doctors. None of them could give me an answer. Not one person. It wasn't until 5-6 years later that I figured out that these vegetables were causing so much inflammation in my digestive system that it was promoting all this inflammation that was getting caught up in my joints. That's all gone, by the way. I want you to understand, if I were to have continued my diet, although it was a healthy diet, a paleo style diet, and I continued down this path, I truly believe that I was headed for a metabolic disturbance. I could see in my laboratory work at the time, my insulin levels were high. My A1C was a 5.3, which you might say, hey, that's not that high. That's still outside of what I would consider to be in a functional range. I am only 35 years old. Let's say I fast forwarded 10 years down the line, I would have started to gain weight and show signs of metabolic dysfunction. So that brings me to clue number two. You have digestive disturbance. Now, what do I mean when I say digestive disturbance? I mean from the mouth all the way to the other end. When you eat, if you get any bloating, burping, gurgling, any strange sensations, acid reflux or GERD, that is dysfunction. Any pain, that is dysfunction. Cramping. If you have any constipation or diarrhea, meaning that you if you're going to the bathroom too often or you're not going to the bathroom every day. These are things that you need to cue into because something is not going well. Something is not going right. Now, if your digestive system is off in any way, shape, or form, this will cause inflammation that will lead to joint pain later on. It doesn't really matter if you're eating a perfect diet or not. If you're not digesting that perfect food well, then it's just going to sit there and it's not going to get absorbed, and the wrong things are going to get absorbed, or too much of the wrong thing gets absorbed in your system. And if it just sits there, it's going to cause gas, it's going to cause inflammation, and voila, now you've got joint pain. And this could be a massive reason why you're not losing weight. How do you solve this? I would urge you to get evaluated by a naturopathic doctor like myself. The digestive system is foundational to everything that we do when we work on people with any autoimmune disease, any inflammatory condition, weight loss. If you can't get the digestive system in alignment, then literally anything that you're doing is just a Band-Aid. So that must be addressed. Here are my recommendations for that. Take a strong probiotic, broad spectrum, make sure it's refrigerated. Consider digestive enzymes with meals if you're lacking digestive power. Try a paleo style diet for 30 days, a Whole30 paleo style diet for 30 days. If you are still noticing that you are getting acid reflux, gas, bloating, and you've cut out nightshades and you're eating a Whole30 style diet, make sure that you're not having any dairy in there. That can cause a lot of intestinal damage as well. So with those things, that will likely really help you step in the right direction in terms of your anti-inflammatory joint pains. Or the other thing that was a game changer for me was cutting back my alcohol intake. Now, when I was going through medical school, we like to go out for drinks often with friends, and it was never like crazy excessive, a few drinks here and there, but it was enough to cause digestive damage and inflammation for me personally. Now, you might be different, but for me, the amount of alcohol I was consuming was not conducive to digestive health. It was not conducive to the inflammatory condition that I was experiencing at the time. And I believe it was pushing my rheumatoid arthritis full throttle forward. And remember, this is when I had all those big bursitis on both elbows. Not cool. The third thing that you want to watch out for are hormonal abnormalities. So think back 10, 15 years ago, and were you sleeping better? Were you more energetic? Did you have more motivation? Think about all the things that cause vitality in you in a day-to-day basis. If those have degraded in any way, shape, or form, then you really must get your hormones checked out. So what do I mean by hormones? I'm talking about testosterone, free and total, estrogen, progesterone, full thyroid workup with antibodies. You have to make sure that your body is not attacking your thyroid gland. I would say that about 40% of the women that I work with currently have Hashimoto's. We can get rid of that in a lot of cases, or at least lessen the antibody load, but you have to check for it. Otherwise, you cannot fight what you do not know. Get these hormones checked out, work with a provider to get them balanced, use bioidenticals if need be. Some forms are better than others. I'm not going to go into that in this video. However, I'm a huge advocate for testosterone therapy, estrogen, and progesterone therapies, thyroid replacement in both men and women. I want to loop this back in real quick when it comes to the GLP-1 therapies like Ozempic, really fast. So you guys might know Dr. Tina Moore. A lot of times when I talk to people from the channel, they always, oh, Dr. Tina, I found you from Dr. Tina's talk with Dr. Mark Hyman, which is awesome. I love Dr. Tina. She's a friend, a colleague, and I respect what she's doing. I hear her talking about how microdosing Ozempic and dosing Ozempic is anti-inflammatory. And in some of the research that we can see this, I completely agree. However, I want to point out the elephant in the room here, that when you are on a GLP-1 therapy and it is helping antagonize those insulin receptors, meaning that it's just making your insulin receptors more sensitive, what's actually going to happen is that you aren't going to crave the carbs, the sugar, the alcohol, the things that are bad for you and pro-inflammatory anymore. So if you're not consuming as many of those things, then how can it not be anti-inflammatory? Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, there is a free cheat sheet down below that talks about how to use GLP-1 and microdose GLP-1 therapies and balance your hormones in a harmonious fashion. Sorry, I cracked myself up. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care.